Hey guys, today I'm going to be taking a look at ArcoLinuxD. What is ArcoLinuxD? Well, ArcoLinux is the new name for what was formerly ArchMerge. ArchMerge I actually reviewed on the channel. ArchMerge is an Arch-based Linux distribution that comes with 3 desktops. It comes with XFCE, i3, and OpenBox all installed. They also offered another edition of ArchMerge that they call ArchMergeD with a D at the end, which was more of a base install, a minimal install of Arch that you then decide what desktop environment or window manager you want to install on top of that. Now they have changed their name. ArchMerge is now ArcoLinux, and ArchMergeD is now ArcoLinuxD. Well, actually, the name will officially change on April 1st, so still about 3 weeks away, but they've already moved to ArcoLinux.info for their website. They've already got ArcoLinux GitHub pages and everything, so they've actually begun the transitioning of rebranding ArchMerge to ArcoLinux. So I've already downloaded the ArcoLinuxD ISO. It was just under a gig, 900 and some change megabytes. So I'm going to install ArcoLinuxD. I keep wanting to call it ArchMergeD still. ArcoLinuxD. I'm going to install it inside a virtual machine. And they offer a variety of window managers to install on ArcoLinuxD. I think I'm going to install Awesome Window Manager, because why not? It's awesome. Okay. So I'm booting up into ArcoLinuxD. Of course, the ISO still refers to this Linux distro as ArchMergeD with a D, ArchMergeD. I do think the ArcoLinux name is better branding. I really like Arco. ArchMerge was a little strange sounding. For one thing, it has Arch in the name, and there's like a bazillion Arch-based Linux distros that include Arch in the name. So I do think rebranding yourself to Arco is a good idea. Okay, and we're booting into a live desktop environment here. Looks like they're using the Calamares installer, a very fine installer. English US has been chosen for my language. I'm going to click Next. It has chosen the central time zone in the US for me. That's correct. I'm going to choose Next. English US has been chosen for my keyboard. I'm going to click Next on that. I'm going to choose Erase Disk. I'm going to let ArcoLinux automatically partition my drives. I created a 15 gig drive on this virtual machine. I need to create my username and password. So my username is DT and my password, I chose a very difficult to guess password. I ticked on use the same password for the administrator account. So my home user and my root user are going to share the same password. Alright, we have our little summary here. Location is correct. Keyboard is correct. Partition scheme. All looks good. I'm going to click Next. Alright. And the installation starts, and we'll let this run. Probably takes 5 to 10 minutes for this portion of the install to complete. Alright, the installer is completed. We need to go over here in the bottom left corner of the Calamares installer and click Restart Now. Then click Done, and it will reboot your machine. That's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, I rebooted my freshly installed ArcoLinuxD. And we wait for it to boot up. Boot up should be very fast. We didn't install any graphical programs of any kind. You see we have a blinking cursor. This is ArcoLinuxD. So to do anything, of course, we need to log in. So I chose DT as my username and my password. It's a very complicated password. And now we are logged in. What to do now? Well, I wanted to install ArcoLinuxD's Awesome Window Manager. Their version of the Awesome Window Manager. And to do that, you go to their GitHub page here. Well, you don't have to go to their GitHub page. I'm just showing you this. Their GitHub is github.com/ArcoLinuxD. And they have a variety of repos here. They have Arco-i3 for the i3 window manager, Arco-OpenBox for the OpenBox window manager, and you see the naming scheme, Arco-Awesome, for the Awesome window manager. And basically, in this repo, you have all of these scripts. Now what we need to do is we need to just go ahead and pull this entire repo down, the Arco-Awesome repo. So before I go ahead and clone that GitHub repo, I'm not exactly sure what the date on that ISO was. Let me check on that real quick. Wow, the date on that ISO was today's date. March 8th, 2018 is this recording. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run mirror here. Just make sure the mirror list is good. And then I'm going to run a update. I'm not sure if there's any updates. Again, the ISO seems very fresh. Today's date, there may not be any updates, but I want to go ahead and update the machine before I start cloning that GitHub repo and then installing using all the scripts in that repo. So sudo pacman dash capital S lowercase y lowercase u. And there are some updates, actually quite a few. So I'm going to go ahead and let this update run. I'll pause the video. I will point out that a couple of very important programs that are part of this update. I notice systemd is updating and the Linux kernel is receiving an update. So I point that out because you guys, when you're running, especially rolling release Linux distros, anytime you get a new Linux kernel or a new version of systemd or whatever init system you're using, or Xorg updates, those are kind of important programs that if they break, it makes for a bad day. So when I finish running this update, because there was a kernel update especially, I'm going to go ahead and reboot the machine just to make sure everything is all good. Okay, so I finished the update, rebooted the machine, it rebooted fine, so everything is good. Let me log in as my user again. And then let's go ahead and git clone. And then what was the name of that GitHub repo? Okay, it's ArcoLinuxD / Arco-Awesome. So https github.com / ArcoLinuxD / Arco-Awesome. Alright, and it's cloned that repo. So let's do a quick ls. This list the directories in our current directory. We're currently in our home directory. Arco-Awesome is there, so it did clone that repo. Let me go ahead and cd into that folder. cd is a terminal command that stands for change directory. We're going to change directory into the Arco-Awesome folder. Alright, I'm going to run the ls command again. Now we're inside the Arco-Awesome folder. This lists all the contents within the Arco-Awesome folder. And there you have it, a listing of several shell scripts. You see all the file names end in .sh. Those are shell scripts. So basically these shell scripts, they are going to install software. For example, the very first one, 100-display-manager and it's display manager and desktop -shell. So what does that do? It installs our display manager and desktop. So it's going to install whatever display manager they're using in ArcoLinux, probably LightDM. It's going to install the desktop, which in this case is Awesome. So to run this very first shell script, and we should do these in order, starting at 100, going all the way through 930, if we want to run every shell script here. Some of them we can skip, especially since I'm doing this in a VM. There's actually a number of these I really don't have to do, but I'm going to go through the trouble of installing all of it just to see if I have any problems with it, because if I was installing this on a physical hardware, I probably would go ahead and install every single one of these. So first, you need to type /100 is the name of the first shell script. And if I hit tab on the keyboard, it finishes the rest of that file name. Hit enter. It's going to ask me for a root password. You need sudo privileges, of course, to install anything. And then you can see it's pulling packages down from the Arch repo. It is installing Awesome and Vicious, Lua. By the way, Awesome is written in Lua. It's configured in Lua. And okay, so we've run that first shell script. I'm going to ls again, ls. Okay, and the name of the next shell script we need to run is 110. So period, slash, then 110, and then I hit tab on the keyboard and it'll just auto-complete the name of that shell script. Hit enter, and this one's going to run. This is installing Pulse Audio. This was installing sound on our system, so we have sound that works when we're done here. And this may take a minute. Alright, and that finished, and you see at the end of when the shell script finished, we got this little display, sound software installed. Okay, that's pretty cool. By the way, we could edit these shell scripts. You see all the packages that are installing through these shell scripts. If you wanted to edit these shell scripts in such a way to not install certain packages or add extra packages to install, you have that ability if you know what you're doing. I'm not going to do that though. I'm just going to take down, I'm going to install exactly what Eric Dubois, the creator of ArcoLinux, is intended us to do here. So ls again. The next one is 120, which is Bluetooth. I really don't need Bluetooth on this, but again, if I was doing this on physical hardware, I probably would want Bluetooth, so I'm going to go ahead and install it. And this shouldn't take too long. Well, it is pulling down some Python stuff. Python 2, Blues tools, okay. ls again. The next shell script is 130, so period slash 130, tab to autocomplete install printers. I won't ever use a printer for this VM, but again, if this was physical hardware, you definitely want to run this particular shell script. Alright, I'm going to type ls again. Alright, the next one is 140, which is install the Samba server. That's not something I really need, not on a VM. Really, I never use Samba on my physical machines. But I will go ahead and install it. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and tell you every single shell script I'm going to run, because I'm going to do them all, but I'm going to go ahead and do them off camera. There's no point in you guys watching the terminal, spit out all this stuff, especially some of the ones coming up. I can tell because it's got AUR in the name. It's going to start installing stuff from the AUR, and when you install stuff from the AUR, it's not pretty text on the screen. A lot of it is just a jumbled mass of stuff. There's no point in you guys watching some of this. So the next script I'm going to install is Samba. The one after that is Network. The one after that is Software Arch Linux Repo. I'm not sure what that is. I could read the shell script though if I want to know what that is. The next one is AUR Repo. 400 is Arch Linux Repo Distro Specific. Not sure what that is. Next one is AUR Repo Specific. Repo Distro Specific. Then 600 is software from ArcoLinux's repo. Excuse me. 700 is install fonts. 800 is auto login, and then the 900 series of scripts or bug fixes. It looks like a microcode, mouse cursor, OB logout, and lock screen. So I'm going to run all these scripts. I'm going to do it off camera. And this is an example of some terminal output when you're installing something from the AUR. No, it's not really readable text. I will mention that doing some of these shell scripts, it has installed things like GIMP. LibreOffice was installed. VLC's been installed. So quite a bit of software is being installed. So we're not going to have like a bare bones minimal install when we're done. We're going to have a fully functional system. The Genie text editor was installed. It looks like it's installing BleachBit right now. I'm just checking back in here. This has all been running for about an hour now. It took quite a long time for this software to be installed. We installed a bunch of software from the official Arch repos, and that took a few minutes. It took a while. But then when I ran the script that it starts installing a bunch of software from the AUR, that's been running for a long time. I've been watching various packages from the AUR install for, over half an hour for sure. So kind of a lengthy install, not difficult. You just, start these scripts running and they run, but it does take some time, especially building packages from the AUR. Okay guys, I finally finished. I've run through all these shell scripts, I don't know, about 15, 16 of them. Took about an hour and a half. So this was kind of slow. Of course, I'm doing this in a virtual machine, and I only gave this virtual machine one core of my CPU with my 6-core CPU. So bad call on that. I probably should have gave it maybe 3 or 4 cores of my CPU. But anyway, I'm going to sudo reboot, and let's see what happens. All right, we do have a grub menu. Of course, we had that before we ran all those shell scripts. See if it actually launches us into any kind of graphical environment. There we go. We've got the awesome window manager. Okay, one thing I will say is the theming is not right. This is not anything like the screenshots of the awesome window manager I see on the ArcoLinux webpage. So something obviously did not install correctly, because this is Awesome Window Manager out of the box. I've installed Awesome Window Manager, so I kind of know the default look and feel. This is the default panel. This is the default right-click menu. The default wallpaper. So let me figure out which of those shell scripts I ran had the theming, because I don't think it installed correctly. And it's going to be this one right here. 600 was the name of the shell script. It's 600-software from ArcoLinux repo. So ArcoLinux has their own repo, and I'm assuming this is where they keep their custom themes for their different desktops. Let me make sure I cd into the correct directory, and I'm going to try to run that shell script again. Yeah, target not found. ArcoLinux-arc.themes-git not found. So if I open up Genie, this is what it's trying to run: sudo pacman -S ArcoLinux-arc-themes-git. That package is not found. None of these packages are going to be found, because these are all found in the ArcoLinux repo, and for some reason we're just not able to pull anything from that repo. Okay, I found one problem in my repo list. Instead of a ArcoLinux repo, I have a ArchMerge repo. And when I do a sudo pacman -S ArchMerge-arc-themes, that package installed fine. So what I need to do is I just need to rename all these packages ArchMerge instead of ArcoLinux whatever the name of the program is, and install these. Yeah, what I did is in the shell script, I just renamed everything, changed ArcoLinux to ArchMerge, and that shell script is executing fine here in Xterm. So I'm going to run this, then I'm going to reboot the machine, and we should have our new ArcoLinux Awesome Window Manager with the custom theming that ArcoLinux should have installed before. I should have been paying attention when I was running those shell scripts that something didn't install correctly from them. And that fixed the problem. I rebooted the machine, logged back into Awesome Window Manager, and this is ArcoLinux, their Awesome Window Manager edition. Very beautiful theming, by the way. Love the wallpaper. It's got a conky here on the desktop. You don't see conky on the desktop on a lot of people that run a tiling window manager, because it's really kind of unnecessary information on your desktop. For one thing, when you're running a tiling window manager, your desktop is not seen that much, because usually you open up one window, it's taking up the whole screen. Then, the more windows you open up, they just space out. They divide up the screen, but pretty much anytime you have something open on the screen, at least one window, your whole screen is covered. So that conky, I probably wouldn't run it. I'd probably get rid of that. I love the theming of the awesome panel here at the top. Ooh, we've even got some widgets when you hover over them. What was that? Our calendar, okay, that's pretty cool. Does the network do anything when I hover over it? No. Volume, no. We do have weather information when I hover over the weather widget here. And any others? No. Looks like we have our system updater tool here. I'm assuming this is going to launch PAMAC. It's our GUI package manager. I never use GUI package managers. I usually do everything in the terminal, but that's cool that it's there. Of course, out of the box, they've created 5 workspaces for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, I'm using the mouse. I could use the keyboard. Usually in Awesome Window Manager, if they kept some of the same key bindings, it would be Super 1. I'm on desktop 1 now, so Super 2 should move me to the second desktop. It does. 3, 4, 5, back 4, 3, 2, 1. Usually in Awesome, Super Enter is the default key binding to open a terminal. And that's the case here. This is the Termite terminal. While I've got a terminal open, uname-r, we're running the latest kernel, 4.15.7. Of course, we should be running the latest everything. This ISO was just like a day old, plus I did an update, so we pulled down the freshest packages from the Arch repositories and the AUR. Let me close this. Usually the default key binding in Awesome is Super Shift C to close a window. No, I was wrong about that one. But you know what? Exit in the terminal kills the terminal window. Let's see. What is close window? It is not listed here, but I do know that Eric Dubois, the creator of ArchMerge, ArcoLinux, has this set up. Super and S gives us all our keyboard shortcuts. Let me move my head out of the way. Super S. And here are our applications. We can launch the Thunar file manager, Catfish, Evolution, Firefox, Chromium, Spotify, Pulse Audio, Vivaldi. We have 3 different web browsers, by the way, installed on this system. And I actually saw them install when I ran those shell scripts. Why are there 3 web browsers installed by default? I don't know. I personally would only install 1 if I was actually installing this on my real machine. The next time I run this particular shell script setup, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out all but one of those web browsers. But the way this is set up, this is Eric Dubois' personal setup. He actually installs all 3 of these web browsers on his machines. I don't know if he does like web testing, maybe for the ArcoLinux website. Maybe he wants to view the site in 3 different web browsers. I'm not exactly sure why he has 3 different web browsers installed on his machines, but that's the way he rolls. So that's why there's 3 different web browsers on this ISO. It looks like a Super Shift Q to close instead of Super Shift C. So I'll probably change that for my personal settings. I like Super Shift Q. Q stands for quit. I like that to log me out of Awesome. I like Super Shift C to close windows, but you set your key bindings to whatever works for you. I mean, that's the thing with a tiling window manager. You're never going to go with a standard cookie cutter kind of config. You're always going to tailor it to your needs. To actually log out, it looks like Super X logs us out. That is kind of a simple key binding to do something as critical as log you out of your window manager. Okay, but it only takes us to this logout screen. That's good. I was hoping it didn't just kill the window manager. I like that. So I don't mind that. But if just Super X by itself actually killed Awesome, and sent us back into light DM, I definitely would change that. That's too easy of a key binding. You could accidentally hit that. Looks like we have D menu installed on the system. Super Shift D opens D menu, and then I can launch anything from here, such as I mentioned Thunar is the file manager that's installed here. If I right click, does it give me an option to show hidden folders? I don't use Thunar that much. I usually install PCMan FM for my file manager, my lightweight file manager. Yeah, so now I'm showing all the hidden directories in my home directory. So I'm going to go to .config. There's a folder in there called Awesome, and this is where my configuration for Awesome should be. Here's the themes, power arrow. I guess this is for the power line display here in our top panel. rc.lua should be our awesome config file. Awesome is configured in Lua. I'm not going to do any playing around in the config today. That's not exactly what this particular video was about. I really just wanted to review ArcoLinux since it was changing its name. It's been in the news here recently. And the fact that Eric Dubois just recently came out with this awesome window manager edition of ArcoLinux. I wanted to take just a very brief look at it. Somewhere down the road, though, I'm going to do a more in-depth review of the awesome window manager. You guys know that I'm reviewing 12 obscure window managers. I'm doing a series of videos on 12 obscure window managers, and Awesome Window Manager is one of the window managers I plan on reviewing in that list. It's coming up, down the road, probably in a few weeks. And that'll be a much more in-depth review of how to configure Awesome Window Manager. But out of the box, I've got to say, I really, really like ArcoLinux. What they've done with Awesome, just playing around in it just a few minutes, what I really loved was the install process. Installing something like mainline Arch, going through the Arch install, it takes some time. I've been at this for almost 2 hours now with ArcoLinux, just getting to this point. But I would have took that amount of time installing mainline Arch and not nearly have gotten this far with it. I would have still just had like the base install. Maybe, I'd have a login manager. I would have Awesome Window Manager installed, but it would be just your standard out of the box Awesome Window Manager. It wouldn't be configured in any way. Eric Dubois, he's a genius, because the way he's doing this with these shell scripts on GitHub, he's got so many window managers he's supporting now. This is a game changer. If I was going to run a minimal window manager like Awesome, OpenBox, BSPWM, i3, I don't know if he's doing Xmonad or anything like that. I'm sure he's not doing something like Qtile, which is one of my favorite tiling window managers, but maybe I can talk to him and convince him to do that one down the road. But this is a game changer. This is the way to go. If you're going to do Arch Linux and you're going to do a minimal window manager like Awesome, guys, check out ArcoLinuxD. Peace, guys.